Hey, how's it going, friends? It's so good to see you guys. Well, to to think I'm seeing you guys at least, and I'm so glad you guys could be here for the live stream just to get to hang out to play some tunes. If this is your first time, welcome to Mandolin Mornings. It's kind of a weekly thing we do here, and we just get to hang out, get to talk mandolin, get to play some songs, and shout out to all you regulars. It's so good to catch up here in the live chat. I hope you guys are doing well, and yeah, we're gonna play some tunes today. If you guys have any requests for tunes that we've looked at on the Patreon site so far, or any of the lesson videos that I've done here on YouTube, let me know, and we'll line it up. We'll get to play it together here. But yeah, what's been going on here? It's been kind of a busy week. Tabitha and I, are closing on a house in Travelers Rest, South Carolina, which is kind of in the upstate area near Greenville, South Carolina. It's also near Asheville, North Carolina, and a few other spots. So we're really excited about that, but it's just been kind of a lot of work the past week getting to shore up some last minute details on the paperwork and all that. I'm sure you guys know it's just so many details that go into buying a house. But we're all thankful. It's all coming together, it looks like, and it's crazy. I forget if I mentioned this last time, but we're closing on the house on Wednesday, and then I think the closing date or the appointment is about 9 a.m. that morning on Wednesday, and then Tabitha and I have to go to the airport that evening. I think I fly out about 4. She flies out about 5 in the afternoon, and we're flying to opposite ends of the world pretty much. Like, she's going over to Northern Ireland for a little bit. She's got a tour with Midnight Sky Racer over in the UK, and she's gonna see her family over there for a bit while she's over, which is good. And then I'm flying over to Colorado to play some shows with Mile 12. So we'll be in our house for about 4 or 5 hours, I guess, before we have to head out to the airport. So it'll be bittersweet, but it'll be really nice, to have that waiting for us when we get back. And we don't have a whole lot of stuff to move in. Honestly, it's just a box or two here and there. We had all of our wedding gifts shipped up to Boston when I was living there when we got married, and we didn't even have a chance to really unpack them, or we haven't really even had a place to put this stuff too. They've just been sitting in boxes. So we'll be opening all that stuff up for the first time and trying to find some furniture and all that stuff. It'll be fun. Yeah, so we're looking forward to that. You guys will have to come visit in Travelers Rest sometime. We're already scheming up plans about Travelers Rest mandolin workshops or Travelers Rest bluegrass festivals and stuff like that, because it's such a cool town. I've just been talking it up a lot, but it is a really awesome place. They have a creperie, they have a brewery downtown. It feels like a kind of a small town vibe, but it's it's so close to a lot of really cool things in the upstate of South Carolina, and so close to the mountains as well. So it would be a pretty awesome place to hang out with all you folks, get to play some tunes in person, which I'll do at some point, I'm sure. But yeah, so it'll be a little bit busy for you for a little bit as we move in. Next week I'll be in Colorado. If any of you Coloradans out there are coming to Rocky Grass, it'll be so fun to hang out with you guys there. Mile 12 is teaching the academy the week leading up to the festival, and then we're playing, I think, at least 1 or 2 spots on the festival itself, Friday or Saturday. So it'll be so fun to see you guys there, and hopefully get to hang out in between sets, in between workshop classes, all that stuff. Let me know if you're going to be there. And then we'll also be playing, I think, one other show in Colorado, a place called Cortez. I've never been there before, but I'm looking forward to that as well. So yeah, shout out to all you Coloradans out there. It'll be so fun to catch up, and more stuff on the Mile 12 calendar coming up soon. So if you're not in Colorado, hopefully we'll be coming your way before too long. But yeah, let's see. How are you folks doing? It's so good to be here with y'all. Let's see. We got Reed Shield. What's up, Reed? Boss Reed. Awesome, folks. Thanks for coming. Let's see. Ethan Ventilio. It's so good to have you. Thanks so much for coming. And Will Cooper. Awesome, Will. It's so good to hear from you. Let's see. Co-op from the Enchanted Mitten. Nice. I love that. I've never heard Michigan called the Enchanted Mitten before. That's a good phrase for it. I love that. My sister and brother-in-law are actually going up to Detroit right now, I think. So they might be in your neck of the woods. And let's see who else we have. We got Alan Buchanan. What's up from Florence, Kentucky? That's so cool. Thanks for tuning in. Neil Gordon. Oh man, thanks for the shout out on the boat tune there. Yeah, I was playing some tracks from my first record just there at the beginning of the stream, it's an album called Into the True Country, which is was a really fun project. It was such a learning process for me. I was just finishing up college and had never done anything like that before, but convinced Matt Flinner to help produce this record for me, and roped a bunch of musicians who are way better than me to play with me and learn my tunes and record, which was so much fun. But yeah, that's a tune I wrote with a good friend of mine from Chattanooga, Michael Moore. We ended up doing a duo record together, re-recorded that one as well. But he's got some writing credit on that one. I love that tune. It's so fun to play. Let's see. Timothy Anderson, what's up from Indianapolis? Super cool. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, Denny says we'll get really good at signing our names by the end of the closing. I think that's right. You know, it's all like e-signed now too, which is kind of crazy. You know, it's kind of a strange world we live in where, you know, I can just type my name and that's good enough for a signature on a lot of these documents. Doesn't even have to be handwritten or anything like that, or my identity doesn't even really have to be that verified, which is kind of scary, but also convenient at the same time. But yeah, we're getting really good at filling out all those documents there. So we'll keep you posted on all that. Maybe at a stream before too long, you'll see kind of a new background here, and we've got a studio kind of planned out for the new house, a room that we're gonna kind of deck out with all of our recording gear, instruments. And it'll be kind of a shooting spot for videos and for live streams, so that'll be kind of fun playing it together. I might, I've been thinking about doing like maybe a blog or something like that, or a vlog, so to speak, of the process moving in, getting situated in the new duds, in the new new studio space, and just leading up to some new lessons that we'll hopefully be shooting there as well. But hey, it's so good to catch up with you guys. We'll keep it coming. Keep chiming in here with the comments. I'd love to hear more from where you guys are tuning in from, what you've been playing recently. Again, if you have any requests for tunes that you'd like to play in the live stream today, let me know. I've got the transcriptions for all the catalog pretty much that we've looked at here on Patreon and YouTube. So if there's any tunes that you've seen me teach before, we'll check it out for sure. But let's see. In the meantime, I thought maybe we'd start off with this one right here. This was one that we looked at earlier in the year, and yeah, it's like one of my favorites. I keep coming back to it again and again. Was looking at this one with a student recently. Shout out to Marjorie if Marjorie's tuning in here. But we were checking out this tune and kind of some of the fun intricacies of how the harmony changes from the A section to the B section. It starts out in A minor, kind of A Dorian sounding mode, and then it goes to an A major chord at the beginning of the B section, which is actually kind of a fun archetype in a lot of bluegrass fiddle tunes. There's a few other tunes that do that, or vice versa, where they start in major, go to minor, like Cattle and the Cane is one of those. I'm trying to think of a few others. There's like Kitchen Girl kind of does that as well. Maybe a few others here and there too. It's just kind of an interesting idea where it goes from the parallel minor to the parallel major sound, A minor to A major. And for a lot of those tunes, they end up being in like this A territory, like A minor, A major for some reason. I haven't seen that too much with other tunes, although there might be some in G. There's like a few Bill Monroe tunes that he wrote, like one called The Old Mountaineer, which I can't play anymore, but that's a pretty cool like 3-part fiddle tune that swaps back and forth between major and minor sounds. There's a few other Bill Monroe tunes like Old Ebenezer Scrooge or Old Dangerfield. Those kind of hop back and forth between major and minor sounds. It's kind of an interesting thing to play around with. Anyways, that's a common feature in a lot of tunes, and it's a prominent feature here in this Cold Frosty Morning tune, and makes it challenging to improvise over, right? In that lesson I did on this one, where I went kind of deep into the different modes or the different key signatures and the scales that we had available to use if we were trying to make variations or trying to improvise new ideas over this tune. So I won't go too deep into that here, but if you want to go check out the video, it's pretty in-depth, and it can be a bit confusing, but also I think it is really helpful to do that deep dive to stretch and to feel like you have some vocabulary to draw from or some information to lean on whenever you try to improvise instead of just hoping for the best. Which, at the end of the day, that's really what we're doing. We're just trying something and seeing what happens and hoping for the best. But the more you kind of work and the more you exercise those mental capacities and those music theory knowledge aspects of your playing, that's going to help inform how you play in the moment. So it's going to help you play better. So all that to say, check out the lesson if you want to. We'll just try out this tune here if you guys are interested. I think I'm pretty much in tune here. Let me double check. Sounds like it. So if you're new to this tune, there's a bunch of chords, right? There's an A minor here at the beginning. If you want to play a full A minor, you can do 2, 2, 3, and open, or some people like to play the high A on top, so it'd be 2, 2, 3, 5. It's a good A minor, and then of course your open G is as good as an A G chord there. That's a good one. And then when we get to the B section, we have some new ones, right? We have A major. You can even kind of change this A minor to A major just by playing the 4th fret on your A string instead of the 3rd fret. I always kind of am blown away by that's the only difference between a major and a minor chord is that 3rd note, you know, like the 3rd of the chord, I should say. Just the 3rd changes the whole quality of the chord, whether it's major or minor. And you know, if you're starting out with a major chord, all you have to do is raise that 3rd by 1 fret or by a half step to make it major, and then vice versa, you know, lower the 3rd by a half step to make it minor. So now we're up at A major here. That's kind of a full sounding A major. It's 2, 2, 4, 5. And then we have G. And then this last line is always tricky. Like whenever you're changing chords at this quick rate of, you know, 2 chords a measure, where you only have 2 beats in 4/4 time on each chord as they go by, it always kind of like throws me for a loop. I have to make sure I play these pretty confidently, or I have to familiarize myself with these chords even more just to play them confidently, I should say. So first up we have A minor again, back to the A minor sound here on the last line. Then we have, you know, a C chord. You can do your open C if you want to. Open, 2, 3, open. Then we have D. Open D works. That's 2, open, open, 2. And then for an E chord, kind of a nice simple E chord that I like to use, more of an open sounding E, it's 4, 2, 2, open. And then from there you just have A minor, G, back to A minor. So here's that last line in progression. So it should sound like this. We're doing A minor, C, D, E, A minor, G, A minor. Something like that. Yeah. So that's the basic chord structure. You know, we have 2 parts, A section, B section. You know, some people don't think about those letter names. I think that is helpful though. Like the first part is usually called the A section. The second part is usually called the B section. They're like rehearsal marks, I guess, and they're usually signified on the page by those blocks, right? Those A, that letter A in the top left corner of the page with the block. It's not a chord. It's just, you know, telling us that this is our A section, the first part of the tune, and then the B in the block is our B section there for the last 2 lines. And then the repeat signs are letting us know, okay, we're repeating those sections each once, and then moving on to the next section. So all that to say, why don't we try this out? Again, if you want the transcription for this one, you can find it over on Patreon. All the tunes we'll look at today are over on Patreon, and it's available to all tiers over there. So if you want a copy of this to, you know, have and to hold and to practice after the stream here, you can do so, or you can, you know, rewatch these streams over on Patreon as well and get to play along with them over there. But for now, let's just try playing through this melody. Maybe I'll play it once on my own just to get it back into our ears again, and then we'll try back and forth a little bit. So here's the basic melody. It goes something like this. Repeat. And then the B section. One more time. Nice, cool. So that's the melody. You know, maybe we'll play a little bit faster now that we have it in our ears. We know the chords, but not too much faster. But we'll just take some turns trading back and forth like we usually do. I'll start things out with the melody again here. play along if you want to, and then I'll switch to playing chords the second time around the tune, and you guys can take a solo or come up with some variations. I think we talked about in the video for this tune, the lesson video, about how it's fun to see if you can improvise in 2-measure blocks. Like maybe try playing the melody for the first 2 measures of the A section, and then on measures 3 and 4 you could try improvising something new over that G chord. And then of course trying to get back to the melody, that's a little bit harder, but seeing if you can get to the melody on measures 5 and 6, and then measures 7 and 8, try something different. And you can kind of keep that pattern going for the whole tune if you want to. That's a really great way of kind of paying homage to the melody in what you're playing, but it still leaves space and gives you parameters to operate within to help you improvise something different, improvise something that sounds like it fits with the song too. Those are kind of like 2 big things I think we're always trying to do as improvisers. Try to play something new and fresh and different, and then also try to always point back to the source material of the song, where if we just play like a bunch of like, if we just play a bunch of licks like that, or a bunch of runs on the minor pentatonic scale or the blues pentatonic scale, or even play some really interesting licks up and down the neck, or play really fast or intricate stuff, that doesn't always suit the song, or doesn't always point back to the source material in the way we want to. And that's the cool thing about bluegrass. There's some parameters that we want to operate within, and the melody is kind of a big guideline that we want to follow. So doing an exercise like this, where you're actually playing the melody for a couple of measures every other phrase, and then playing something different, coming back to the melody, that's a really nice structure that kind of automatically sets you into some helpful patterns that will point back to the source material. And obviously you don't want to just follow a pattern like that all the time. You want to change it up. You want to try something different. Maybe you can improvise for 4 measures and then get back to the melody, or improvise for a whole A section and then get back to the melody on the B. And you're constantly finding new ways of stitching together the melody and new ideas as an improviser. So maybe just start with that 2-measure approach and then see where it leads you. But all that to say, we'll try it out here, and maybe play it just a tiny bit faster. I'll start us off with some of those potatoes. I'll just play the root a few times here, so maybe around this tempo. Here we go. Alright, here we go. So we have A minor to G, back to A minor, A minor, G, back to A minor. So we have this A major at the beginning of the B section, G, then that quick progression, A major again, A minor, C, D, E, A minor, G, A minor. Alright, my go. A minor, C, G, E, A minor, G, A minor. A minor, C, D, E, A minor. Nice. My go. Go again. Alright, let's play this together. Nice work, folks. Cold, frosty morning. I'm just seeing a comment here from Will Cooper here. So measure 3, beat 1. Let's see here. So we got you must slide on the same finger for the slur, or is it proper to also change fingers, but playing legato with a different finger? Oh yeah, good question. So on the third measure of the A section on the very first line, we're actually we're playing a hammer-on there, and I know that there's like some disparaging of different different symbols or different kind of terminology or notation to signify a hammer-on, but usually what you'll find is that a hammer-on is usually 2 notes of different pitch connected with a slur mark, like you mentioned, one of those arcs that connects the 2 notes together. But it's confusing because that's also a common notation for a note that has a pull-off as well, like 2 notes that are being pulled off. And the slide can sometimes be notated that way, but more often the slide is notated with a diagonal slash, a straight line like we have in the very first measure here. That's the way that I try to keep it straight in my transcriptions, at least, and you might find some different variations out there from different notators. But you can almost always rely on the letters that happen close to those articulation marks, I should say. And almost always you'll see the letter S by a slide, the letter H by a hammer-on, and the letter P by a pull-off. So for measure 3, since we have that H there too, you can kind of just rest assured that'll be a hammer-on. And what you're doing is you're actually using 2 fingers to get that hammer-on. You'll start with your middle finger on the 4th fret, and then hammer on with your ring finger onto the 5th fret. And it does kind of accomplish the same thing as a slur, yeah. So that'll get you a really nice sound. It's not a necessary embellishment, obviously. Like, you can play those notes individually. I may have even done that accidentally. But the hammer-on does kind of add a little bit of a earthy or a little bit more of a musical quality to it. And we do a couple other hammer-ons too, like in the B section. I like that hammer-on. I actually use my first finger on the 3rd fret here. This is at the first measure of the 3rd line, right at the beginning of the B section, if you're following along. So hammering on from your index to your middle finger on the 3rd to the 5th fret of the E string. Then we also have one here in the 3rd measure of that line. It's a hammer-on triplet, which is another fun way of accomplishing kind of a fun embellishment technique where you're not actually playing an extra note with your right hand, right? You're just hammering on for the first 2 notes, and you're grabbing the 3rd note of the triplet on your upstroke. And probably playing the next note on the next measure with a downstroke as well. Something I probably learned from Sam Bush or Mike Marshall does that a lot too. It's like a pretty fun embellishment to mess around with. So yeah, just a couple interesting little embellishment techniques that might pop up in other tunes as well. So we'll get some more opportunities to practice those as well, Will. Well, cool. Let's see how you guys are doing here. All right, so oh, it's so cool. We got some folks from Canada. Peter, what's up? I don't know if we ran into you at the Calgary Bluegrass Festival. It's called Shady Grove, is that right? That was so much fun. We played there a couple of years ago with Mile 12. It must have been 2018, or maybe it was 2019. I don't remember. It's been like, it's weird how the years are kind of blurring together now because of COVID. Maybe you guys are experiencing that too. But yeah, that was so fun. I remember I had this awesome water bottle I got there at the festival that I lost somewhere in England when I was touring around with Tabitha, and I was so sad because it was a really special memory getting to hang out with you guys there. If hopefully we'll be back there sometime soon, man. Calgary's a cool place. And we got Roger Bear is up in Maine. That's so cool. Or sorry, Gwen. Awesome, Gwen. Great to have you with us. And Connie Ward's been blueberry picking on the mountain this morning. That's so cool. What a great way to start the day. Yeah, we haven't gotten a chance to go blueberry picking, but there are some like awesome berry farms around here that would love to go to. There's one called the Happy Berry Farm, which I've only been to like once or twice before, but it's a really cool place. I've got some folks from Southern Ontario. What's up? Very cool. Swami, thanks so much for the kind words. That's really kind of you. All right, yeah, we got a big crew here. That's great. But okay. Christina's is saying, between you and Baron with early Saturday streams, I end up so sleep deprived on Saturdays. I'm sorry. Yeah. Baron's stream is fantastic. I don't know if you guys have, if the rest of you guys have checked out his streams, but you know, I do mine at 11. I think he does his a little bit later in the afternoon. Is that right? Or maybe around 12 or 1. And yeah, he's got such an awesome catalog of tune lessons over on his YouTube channel. I love his teaching method. So check out his stuff as well if you want some more mandolin in your life. And who doesn't want more mandolin in their lives, right? Let's see. All right, we got Uncle Bobby, Greg Fury, and Bronwyn Sinclair. That's so cool. Oh man, thank you guys for tuning in. It's so great to hang with you guys. Well, we got some more tunes in store for today. Again, let me know if you guys have any requests here. Mark is requesting Old Dangerfield. Yeah. You know, I haven't been doing too much of like the Monroe catalog. Been trying to like figure out like some traditional tunes to do just to kind of, you know, stray away from any copyright law issues. And I need to research more about Monroe's catalog if it's public domain now. But that is a great tune, and there's a lot of great resources out there on that one as well. I was actually just listening to there's a great recording of, I think it's Butch Robbins. I don't know if you guys know him. He was the banjo player with Bill Monroe and the Bluegrass Boys for a while, and he's made a few solo records of his own. And he did a really cool arrangement of, I think he did an arrangement of Old Ebenezer Scrooge with Old Dangerfield, and it's just mandolin and banjo. It's cool hearing them two play it together here. So that would be an awesome way to do it. You know, check out his version if you're interested. Oh man, Bronwyn's up at 1 a.m. That's crazy. Oh my word. I hope you know the mandolin's kind of a quiet instrument, which is kind of nice. So you can play it at almost all hours of the day without bothering anyone. But the banjo, oh man, don't get me started on the banjo. I'm just kidding. No, the banjo is great as well. But here, let's see. if you guys have any other requests here, we can check them out as well. Stuff that we've already looked at on the Patreon page or over on YouTube. In the meantime, you guys are just leaving me to my own vices. I'll get to pick out whatever tune I want to here. I feel like I have too much power. I get to like dictate the jam. Let's see. Maybe we could check out one from the beginner lessons series that we looked at kind of recently. I don't know if we got to play this one. I think we did maybe play this one last time, but it might be kind of a fun one to revisit. There's one called the 8th of January, which is kind of a 2-part fiddle tune that I actually got to, kind of mess around with a little bit recently. I recorded a solo version of this tune for Mandolin Mondays this past Monday, and just had some fun exploring some possibilities with this one. This melody, it's a simple one. How's it go? It's like. Where it's just 2 parts, and each part's pretty short. It's only 4 measures, and each part repeats. The fun thing is like seeing how you can take that melody to new places. And in that video, I was kind of figuring out, okay, like the melody works pretty well up here. Oh wait, I'm playing a different tune now. I'm getting mixed up with I think Methodist Preacher, which is another tune I've been playing recently. How's it go? There we go. And then the B part kind of works right here. With some variations, I try to change things up to best suit whatever fits the fingerings and the position that I'm in. And then I think later on in that video, I may even went up the neck here, where it's like a. I'm getting it mixed up with Methodist Preacher again. No, how's it go? And then I may have done some different stuff after that, but it's cool seeing how that melody works so well in a few different spots on the neck. And if you want a transcription for that video too, and that arrangement that I did, it was kind of like off the cuff, but I wrote it out, and if anyone wants to check it out, it's over on Patreon. It's available up there too. Well, we'll just start off maybe playing through the basic version of the tune, if that's all right. Let me pull this up so we can look at it together. And apologies, I've got this brooding picture of myself on the page to kind of fill out some space in the ebook that we've been looking at for the beginner series. And by the way, hopefully you guys have been enjoying that beginner series. We're looking at some major scales this week, and we've got some more videos coming up soon. Hopefully in the next couple weeks we'll be finishing up. I think there's 7 more videos in the series. I've just got to finish editing once we close on the house and all that stuff. So that'll be fun to kind of finish up that series. And shout out to all the folks who've joined Patreon and been checking out all the new stuff as we've been going through this complete beginner's guide. So it's gonna be a lot of fun finishing it up. But this is one that we looked at on the slides technique video. I think it was part 9, and we're checking out how you can do the slide from the 5th to the 7th fret, like on the A string while the E string's ringing out there. It's a really common slide that we have in mandolin music. And then we also have the 5 to 7 slide on our D string while our open A is ringing out too. It's another common thing. So this is a good opportunity to exercise that. And in the beginner series book, there's also some other slide exercises that you can check out to get used to this same idea on other fingers across different lengths of frets, all sorts of stuff like that. But yeah, so we'll try this out. And the chords are really simple, right? It's just D, G, A, and D, right? And then we have, the B section is just one big D chord, quick A, D at the end of that section there. And some people, like I may mention this before, some people play this tune a bit differently, where since the tune is half as long as a normal fiddle tune, like Cold Frosty Morning, some people will play through the tune twice. And, if it was my turn, I would take a solo over 2 times around the form, A, A, B, B, A, A, B, B. and then I would hand it off to the next person. I think last time we tried just doing single forms where it was just A, B, B, and then we would trade it off. But maybe for this jam, let's try the other way. Let's do the two form approach where I'll play through the tune twice, and then I'll let you take a turn, and then I'll play through a solo 2 times through the form, then let you do the same, and kind of go back and forth that way. So I'll direct this as we go along, and hopefully we'll all be able to stay together here. Let's try this out. So maybe something like this. Here we go. So I'll do it again. Alright, here we go. So we have a D chord, G, A, back to D. And then onto the B section. And then we'll do the A section again. So we have D, G, A, D. Onto the B section. Alright, my turn. Your turn. A section again. Alright, let's try this together. Again. Nice work, folks. Cool. Well, keep up the good work on that tune. I think that's one that needs to be called more often. You know, it's I guess kind of considered a beginner's tune of sorts. At least that's the way I learned it when I was first starting out, and kind of forgot about it for a long time. Then I was reminded of this one by Joe K. Walsh recently, and just thought it would be a fun one to include in this beginner series and to explore a little bit more on that Mandolin Mondays video. So I hope you guys are enjoying that one here. Well, looks like you guys are coming up with some great questions here. Let's come back over and talk about this here. So Greg is asking about chop length, which I think is actually a really good topic of consideration, because it's something I didn't think much about for a while. And then when I started playing with the band, just thinking about that relationship between the mandolin and the bass, like you mentioned, Greg, that's a huge consideration with chop length. I think the chop is something that you don't want to go too long or too short, right? Because if you go too short, you don't hear any of the meat of the chord. You don't hear any of the notes that you're actually playing. And for a while, I think my chop was probably too short as well, because I didn't know the chords to a lot of the songs, and I couldn't make the chord formations in the right way, or couldn't, play the chord progression the way I wanted to. So I ended up just dry chopping, or just hanging out on one chord for too long, which definitely kind of impacted the way that the chop sounded and didn't really fit with what the rest of the band was doing. So I don't recommend that. So it's really important, even though you're chopping and you're kind of muting the sound a little bit with the chop, you still want to be playing the right chords to get that kind of foundational sound of the chord behind the chop, if that makes sense. And beyond that, though, you don't want to let the chop ring out too much either, because then there's no rhythmic definition, or not as much rhythmic definition about where the beat should be. Obviously, like, you can play sustained chords in time, but it doesn't have quite as much definition and quite as much direction for the rest of the band as this really kind of choked sound that you get from that classic bluegrass chop sound. So it's finding like a happy medium in between, because you don't want it to be too dry and not have that bigger sound that you get from the chord, and then you don't want it to be too long and make it sound too jangly, not have as much rhythmic definition, and kind of get in the way of what other people in the band are doing. That's what the guitar player's doing in the bluegrass band. That's what kind of the banjo player's doing, is letting those notes sustain. So we have the rhythmic responsibility of being more like the snare drum in the bluegrass band. So trying to accent that backbeat with a chop that's just the right length is good. And within that register, though, there's like kind of some range of possibilities that are definitely acceptable and workable. And it's more of a kind of personal preference. Like I feel like Sam Bush's chop is pretty long compared to some. I remember hearing him talk about it, I should say, one time on like a video somewhere, about how he likes to keep his chop a little bit longer, because he thinks that it kind of gives you a little bit more range of operation, if that makes sense. So if you cut the chop too short, you're kind of making the rhythmic time window really small, right? Where you have to land exactly on the beat, and everyone has to land exactly on the beat with you, because there's only like this one tiny spike and one little frame in the time frame that you're working with that would line up with the rest of the band. Whereas if you leave the chop a little bit wider, let the chop sustain a little bit more, there's a little bit more freedom in that time frame, like to be able to line up with the rest of the band, and to make the rest of the band kind of line up with you, if that makes sense. It's kind of hard to explain, but it's like, if the chop is so small and it's such a solitary event in time, that doesn't span out any distance, then it's really hard to make it sound rhythmically precise, or have everyone else line up with you precisely. Whereas if you let the chop sustain a little bit more, it kind of gives a little bit of a buffer, where there's kind of a bigger instance in time where the chop takes up that beat, or lines up with the beat, and everyone else can line up with you a little bit more easily. So I don't know, I'm experiment maybe leaving the chop sustained a little bit more, but not too much, because then if you leave the window too big, if you let the sustain go out too far, then you're kind of making the window too big, and the timing gets mushy again, where there's not as much definition. People might speed up or slow down in comparison with where you're chopping too. So it's a delicate balance, a tightrope kind of a feat that we're doing. So check that out, Greg. I hope that helps. And let's see here. And Uncle Bobby is saying, how do you keep all those tunes straight inside your head and your fingers? Yeah, that's a good question. I ask myself that sometimes, like when I mess up 8th of January with Methodist Preacher earlier. and sometimes I don't keep them straight. I have to go back and refresh myself on these tunes from time to time if I don't play them that much. But there are tunes that I just know so well that this I don't have to think about them anymore. Or I've spent a lot of time just kind of playing around with them or messing around with them to change them up, that I feel an ownership of those tunes, that I can play it differently every time I play it, which is kind of fun too. Like when I play Whiskey Before Breakfast now, I don't play it the same way every time, you know. Something like that, you know, where it's like I know the general framework of the song, or kind of the general outline, and I have this freedom to kind of dance around the melody notes or change it up as I play it, and kind of reacting to how I play it in the moment, which makes it a lot easier to play something that sounds like Whiskey Before Breakfast, instead of just, you know, working directly from the tab sheet like we've been looking at. Those tab sheets are kind of like a starting place to help give you a foundation to work on and to build from, that you can do that. You know, once you learn Cold Frosty Morning the way it's written out here, then you have the freedom to change it up. And when you have that freedom and you know how it should sound or how you want it to sound, and you can react to it in the moment, then it becomes a lot easier to remember these tunes, because it's a new experience every time, I guess, which is kind of fun. It's weird. So I guess the longest here is I don't remember them, or I choose not to remember them the same way every time, which is fun. So hopefully that's your experience too, as you keep working on these tunes and you feel like you've taken them through the paces, you've played them in different octaves, you've maybe transposed the melodies to different keys, you've played the tune a million times at the jam, you've learned a solo for the tune, you've written your own solo for the tune. Then at that point, it's like you've done all the heavy lifting, and you can kind of just rest easy on that work and trust in whatever happens in the moment. So that's my philosophy. It's like, think really hard about it, play it a lot, and then don't think about it anymore. It seems like that's kind of a trend in a lot of musicians I've heard from. So I hope that's a good philosophy. But yeah, good question, Uncle Bobby. Thanks for being here. Thanks for all your support, man. Let's see here. What else? Oh, cool. Do mandolin and tennis go together? Browan's asking. That's so cool. I didn't know they played a bit of Night Owl watching Wimbledon at the same time. They should. You should play that tune, The Gray Owl, as you watch the Wimbledon. That's what I was thinking of. That would be kind of a fun pairing, right? We actually looked at that tune here on Patreon a while back. That would be kind of a fun one to check out too. Yeah, there's like I wish there was like kind of an overlap of the mandolin in different parts of the world. That'd be so fun. Well, thanks for all the kind words about the beginner series too. Again, there'll be some more videos from that coming up soon. And there's lots more we're going to be looking at as well. Let's see, we got a couple of other comments here at the end. Shinos is saying, I haven't done a thing with improvisation yet. I'm just concentrating on learning tunes right now. Haven't ever played with double stop strumming or chopping. One of these days. Well, yeah, today's a good day. Like, why not try it out? Maybe we'll play another tune here, and it's never too early to start improvising, just because I feel like it's so tied with everything else that you're working on. And like learning these tunes and learning how to improvise over those tunes is something that I feel like works really well in tandem. And the more you try it out, the sooner you're going to get to that feeling where you can own the tunes and try out new things and play it differently every time you work on it, without the fear of kind of playing a wrong note or the fear of kind of playing it differently. That's kind of the beauty about it. It's just something that it's a muscle you kind of have to keep working with. I'll see Alan saying, "We'll love to learn Ripple, like the cryptocurrency." I don't know much about Ripple, honestly. But let's see here. Uncle Bobby saying, "Very Grateful Dead playing style. Nothing is played the same. Just the bare bones of the tune." Yeah. They had a lot of great ideas as well. They kind of set a precedent for a lot of stuff, and David Grisman in tandem with that too, which is pretty cool. But even listening to Bill Monroe, like he never played some of those tunes that I mentioned earlier the same way once. I feel like I was trying to learn that old Ebenezer Scrooge tune recently, and listening to all the different recordings of the band playing that tune, it's all so different. They play different chords on some recordings as well. So it's something that dates back to the very origins of our music, and that's the cool thing. It's like you're figuring out how to live and breathe the style without worrying about playing something exactly the same. It's more worried about how things are coming across rather than thinking about the exact notes that you're playing, which I think is pretty cool. But it does help to be specific in some ways too. It's like the specificity allows for the ambiguity later on. So I think it's not an excuse to like be lazy and just to play whatever you play and that's that. It's like we want to play good, we want to play interesting stuff, and we want to force ourselves to be creative and to try new things. But at the same time, it's like we're trying to also work on these tunes. We're trying to learn these tunes note for note, trying to learn solos note for note. We're trying to expand our vocabulary, push ourselves beyond our comfort levels, and to play things as accurately and as clean as possible, so that we can kind of rest on that work, like I mentioned earlier. So it's so interesting, isn't it? Well, maybe we can try it out here. How about we try maybe a tune that we've looked at kind of recently? How about, a really good one for improvising is this one right here. Let's try this one out. So we got Angeline the Baker, and I think it's a great tune to improvise over because there's just two chords, right? You don't have to worry about changing harmony too much. You can kind of play around with your D major scale or your D pentatonic scale, which are pretty simple, right? If you don't know your D major scale, that's it right there. We just have open 2 4 5 on the D string, open 2 4 5 on the A string, and then the even easier pentatonic shape goes like this. It's open 2 4 open 2 5. And you can play any one of those 5 notes in any order that you want to over the entire tune here, and it's gonna sound pretty good. That's so cool. And I'd encourage you guys, your Cinos in particular, like try using that scale over this tune here. If you've ever played this one before, you can play the melody and then just hop over to that pentatonic shape, play around, and then hop back to the melody. It's just a fun device that you don't have to feel anxious about. You can use that as much as you want to here when you're first getting started, and it's going to sound pretty good. So there's so many fun little tricks like that. And as soon as you start and you experience the freedom of changing things up in the moment, it does feel so exciting, exhilarating. It feels like flying when I first tried it out. It's just like breathtaking almost. And then eventually it just becomes so normal that it doesn't feel scary at all. It feels kind of, I don't know, it feels normal in a cool way. And it also feels like fresh at the same time too, where it's like every time you do it, it is a new experience, and you have to kind of be keyed into what's going on to keep playing, to try new things, to play something that hopefully sounds good, all that stuff. Maybe we'll try this one out together. I'm sure you guys have heard this one or played this one before. We just have D and G, right? 2 sections, 8 measures long with repeats. Let's try it out. It goes something like this. All right, here we go. A section again. Onto the B section. It's the same chords. All right, my turn. I'm gonna use that pentatonic scale here. That's it. Back to the melody. Pentatonic. All right, here you go. All right, let's try this together. Nice work, folks. Hope you enjoyed messing around with some of the melodic ideas and the improv ideas that we talked about. Use that pentatonic scale all over this tune, and it's a really nice device. You know, eventually there's other devices that you can use as well, but when you're first getting started out, the pentatonic scale is just so useful because none of those notes are going to sound really bad over this tune. You can play them pretty much at any moment in the tune, and it's going to sound good. Again, that scale is just open 2 4. Open 2 5, and you can learn those same notes in different octaves. You know, in the first position here, and then you can also play. Oh, I guess not the G string, but play those 2 notes, the B and the A, on the 4th and the 2nd fret of your G string as well. Those are all just options that you can use from, and combine them together in different ways. You know, whatever way you want to, and it's gonna sound pretty good. Well, nice. Well, I just wanted to also come over here, and sorry I missed your comment earlier, Bronwyn, but Bronwyn's asking about strum patterns as well to play with the chords, and yeah, I'm kind of all over the place. I apologize. I don't follow like a particular pattern or a particular kind of rhythm when it comes to strumming chords. Sometimes I do like more guitar strum patterns where I'm doing kind of picking out a bass line in the chords. Similar to what an actual bass might do, the root and the 5th. And then I might play like a little melodic run here to get me to the next chord, and then do some offbeat strums for the next chord. I don't know, I just kind of feel it out in the moment. But the main gist of how I strum, it always links up with the time in the music itself, the key signature, like you mentioned, where all the beats in the measure here for 4/4 time, I'm making my downstrokes line up with those beats. Even if I'm not necessarily playing the downstrokes on the strings, I'm always moving 1, 2, 3, 4. And then my upstrokes would always happen in between the beats, right? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And you know, when you look at your hand away from the strings too, it's like, if you couldn't hear me strumming, my hand would always look like this pretty much, where I'm just moving down and up at the same rate no matter what I'm doing with the pick or how I'm applying the pick to the strings. It's the same method with single note melodies too, where it's like no no matter what rhythms I'm playing, I want it to line up with the beat and the music. So I'd recommend just starting out with like doing something simple where you're doing all down strums for the beats. Get used to what that feels like. And then maybe try something different, like where you're adding in an upstroke on the second beat, like down, down, up, down, down. Or you can add in an extra upstroke after the fourth beat. Go down, down, up, down, down. Something like that could be, a really good place to start. We even talk about those strum patterns in this beginner series that we've been looking at. They're kind of peppered throughout all those different lessons, but I know part 2 in the series has at least one strum pattern to get started on, and chord progression to try it out over. So maybe check that out if you're interested. It's here on YouTube, and get the transcriptions over on Patreon too if you're interested. But yeah, I hope that you guys have an awesome weekend here. We'll be closing things up here for our stream today, but it's so good to hang out with you all. I hope you guys enjoyed just playing through these tunes, and thanks for checking out the lessons. If you're not a member of Patreon already, you can check out more about the site on the link below. Thanks for the subscribes too. Yeah, there's like all sorts of stuff to take advantage of over there. I hope you're enjoying the stuff here. In the meantime, I want to give you guys a heads up, since I'll be traveling in the next couple of weeks here. We won't be having Mandolin Mornings live streams for the next 2 Saturdays, but we'll be back on track afterwards. So just stay tuned here on the channel and over on social media, and I'll be letting folks know about that too. But there's a bunch of other content that I'll be sharing on the site, so be sure to take advantage of it. But hey, thank you guys so much for tuning in. And yeah, I look forward to connecting with you guys sometime soon. Hopefully on the road sometime soon. If you're in Colorado next week, come hear us in Cortez, or maybe I'll see you at Rocky Grass, and lots of other stuff coming up that you can check out on the Mile 12 website or on socials, and all sorts of other stuff. But yeah, I look forward to catching up with you guys soon. And in the meantime, keep on playing, keep on picking, and we'll see you on the live stream in the future. All right, take care.